Hey guys, this is Hassan. Today I am going to actually show you guys how to create S3 bucket in AWS using Terraform. So there could be might be a case where you have to create a couple of buckets, like more than one buckets. So in a situation like that, what you're gonna do, right? So creating a bucket in AWS, like log into your account and stuff like that. So it's pretty straightforward, right? You put the bucket name, choose the region, right? And then the ownership, and what else, bucket versioning, the tag, which is a best practice in AWS, right? And then encryption type, by default we choose this, and then bucket key and stuff like that, right? And then you create the bucket. So this is like a manual process, right? But what you have to do is that what are you going to do if you have to create like so many buckets, like 10 buckets, 15 buckets at a time, right? So that's quite possible, of course, doing manually, but it's a time consuming, right? So it's better to write a script that will help you to create more than one bucket at a time in like less than 2-3 minutes, right? So I wrote a script actually for you guys, so you can go to my GitHub and clone it and then use it, right? So everything is in here, but I'm just going to run it and show it to you. So I'm not going to go ahead in details, like, you know, how the code has been written. So, but I'm going to go through, you know, quick walkthrough, like, you know, the code that I have written. Okay. So there are a couple of free conditions, right? Is that it's always good to have backend bucket, so you can see all the logs, like what's going on with your buckets and everything. And then always create a Terraform role as well. And then you're going to clone this project, then go to the Terraform, which is the name of the project, and then whatever the service you're going to work on. So I'm working on right now, I have only one service, which is S3. So you're going to go cd S3 folder, right? And then after that, we're going to initiate the Terraform, and then Terraform plan, plus you need to send the variables. So this is pretty much straightforward. If you have multiple environment that you need to work on, right? QA, test, production, staging, XYZ, whatever environment that you work on, make sure you pass that variable files into the Terraform plan and then apply. So this will gonna create the bunch of S3 buckets based on the script, right? Based on the list of the bucket name that you provide in your script, it will create them. Okay. And then if you want to delete them, like, you know, you follow the same pattern right here, and then end of the day, like, you know, you can push those code into your GitHub, I guess, as well. So let's go from the top. So I did create a backend bucket in advance, so that was done, you know, manually, because it's a one-time thing. So I just created a bucket. Under the bucket I have S3 stuff in here, right? So the bucket already created, so, and you're just gonna go ahead, if you use my code, all you have to do, create the bucket and replace the bucket name in here. You don't need to change anything in line number 4 and 5. I mean, line number 5 you might need to change, because depends which region you're working on. I'm working on US East 1. All right, and then this is most important, like variables. So to create a bucket, right, you pretty much need couple of things, like, you know, bucket name, like the region, and then the object ownership, right, tags, encryptions, things like that, right? So each of these things you can divide them into a module, right? So that's what we exactly did. We have the region, we have the tags, we have since it's a Terraform, so we have the Terraform role, bucket names, and then we're doing some validations if the bucket is already exist or not. And then encryption type, we put the default encryption type, which is SSE-S3. Okay. And then let's go back to the code. KMS, like, you know, we set to null because we don't need it at this point. And then ACL, make sure it's private. Okay. So you can add more if you need, but this is what we need at this point to create the bucket. Okay. And this is my production environment, for example. So environment type is going to be prod, and my which team it is, engineering team, and the name of the project is a Terraform. You can put whatever your project name is, and the creator, like who's creating the bucket, and their person name. Okay. And then Terraform rule. So this file is going to be different environment to environment. So if it's a production, then I have to put the production and stuff right here. If it's in QA, if it's in staging, then the things will be different, right? So I'm working on EST1, so the region is EST1, and then what do you call the Terraform role. So make sure you do create a role beforehand, right? So if you go back to IAM, roles, so I created a Terraform role, and then I copied the ARN informations from here, and I just gave AWS administrator, make sure the trust relationship is accurate. So I gave my root user informations in here. Okay, so the Terraform role has been created in advanced, which is the free conditions to create them, and then the region, we already talked about it. And then here is the most important part, right? So we wrote a script in a way, like if you go back to the variables, bucket names, right? It's a string, but it's a list, right? So you can have either one bucket, you can use this script for one bucket, or you can use it for multiple buckets. So right now I have for this demo, I have like 3 of them, right? You can have as much as you want, right? As long as you are within the array. Okay, and the encryption type is ES256, which is in here, this guy by default. And then the bucket ACL is going to be private for now. Okay, all right, cool. And then output and the provider, okay, let's go through this one. Is going to be AWS region, and then Terraform assume rule. So this is just, you don't need to change none of this. And the output, you don't need to change anything in here. We're just going to see, once the bucket is successfully created, list of the bucket in my output. So that's going to give me a guarantee that bucket has been created, and at the same time we can go to the UI and check if the bucket has been created or not, right? And then inside the main, this is where we actually start using those, calling those variables. Okay, so this is where the code is actually, so you never need to touch this unless you add new variables in here, but otherwise you can pretty much copy paste everything in here. You never ever have to touch anything. Okay, all right, so pretty much we just call those variables in here, like the bucket name, ownership, and then whatever the variables we created, we just call them in here. Okay, and now in the backend, I just explained to you, this is going to be my Terraform S3 bucket. So in the future, if I work with, like, let's say EC2 instance, right, I can say EC2 and then slash EC2. I think you have to use the lowercase, but let's put EC2 like this, right? That's the only thing you need to change in the key. Okay, so since it's going to be for S3 right now, so let's keep it S3 for now. Okay, and -terraform.tf, this is like in standard, so keep it as it is. Just change the service name in here and in here as well, and make sure you're in the right region. Okay, so that's it. And then now what are we gonna do? Of course, you need to log into your account through the CLI. Okay, so we're gonna say configure AWS configure, right? Okay, and then I already have the key, so I'm going to keep the same key. I have the same secret key I already did. When you create the IAM user, you should find it in here. So if I go back to the user, this is my user, and create access key. So I'm not going to create access key because I already have the key, right? So if you forgot or how to retrieve one, so you can do that and click on next. They will give you the key. So I have my key, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to repeat the same step that I already have done, but yes, you can get it from there. And then the region is going to be US East 1. I already have it in here, as you can see. My default already set it up, but if you want to change it in the future, let's say you want to work against another region, like US West 2, you can simply make the change in here, right? So since I already have it under the ES1 and my code saying ES1, so I want to do everything under that region. So I'm going to say enter, and then format JSON, or you can say table. That's totally up to you, but I like JSON format, so it's good. So now I'm successfully logged in, or connected into my AWS account using the CLI. Okay, now I am in the Terraform folder, but I which is my project name. Now I'm going to be working with my S3 bucket, right? So this is just the folder, nothing else. So excuse me, so I'm going to cd into S3, right? All right, so here is I need to run if you look at the readme file, where is the readme file go? Okay, right here. So we're going to start, so we just finished this part right here. Now you're going to say terraform init, right? So terraform init, it will start initializing everything, check your code is good or bad, and once everything is good, then you'll see that they will ask you to say, like, you know, use the terraform apply command. So terraform plan, sorry. So I'm going to say terraform plan, and then hyphen bar, because I will have bunch of environments to work on, and then put the file name right here. So this is the file name, so I'm going to copy that and use the quotation in the front and in the back, and then you press enter. And as you can see, before I say terraform apply, it actually going to create 3 of the buckets, and HB S3 test bucket 1. So if you go back to the environment files, right, this is the name of the bucket that I provided in here. And let me show you my bucket, the list of the bucket that I have currently. So I have 1, 2 bucket, and there is no such thing called HB bucket 1, 2, 3, right? So I don't have none of those, but via Terraform script, I'm going to create those bucket, right? So, or I would say buckets, because it's going to be more than one, right? So instead of plan, I'm just going to say apply, and it will go ahead and then just say yes, that I am approving this. And as you can see, the bucket 1, 2, and 3 are about to create. Once creation is completed, it will give you the bucket output name in here as well, and we can go back to the front end, right, the console or the UI. We can go ahead and refresh this page and see the bucket actually appearing or not. So let's go back. As you can see, the outputs, we get the bucket name. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and refresh this. Okay, as you can see, bucket is here. So the backend bucket, what is the reason for the backend bucket? So in here, as you can see, all the if you download this, you have to download this, right? So I'm going to download this file. Go back to the downloads. This is the file, the Terraform JSON. Open with notes, text file maybe, yeah. And everything, all the information that I provided, it's in here. So it's work like a log, which is a very pretty cool thing, and it's a best practice to have the backend file. Okay, so anyway, let's go back to the bucket, and then go back to the script, and then if you want to delete them, right, you follow the same script, just only instead of plan or apply, use the word destroy, right? So go back here, destroy. Sorry, my spelling was incorrect. Okay, yes, DROY. All right, let's see. And then, are you agree to, you know, destroy those buckets? Yes. Now it's going to kill those buckets, and then we can go back to the UI and check if it's actually disappearing from here. As you can see, it's gone already. Go back to the script. They're still doing the job, but you know, from the UI, it's already disappeared. All right, so everything is gone. Like, go back to the UI, and all the bucket is gone right here. Okay, so you don't have bucket anymore. So, and another thing is I have done, like, you know, when you do the Terraform init, by default they create a folder called .terraform and then .terraform log HCL. Just make sure when you create or run this script, make sure these two files are deleted. Even though I put it in the git ignore file, I put it somewhere right here. So when I push this code, make sure it doesn't go into my repo. But just to be in the safe side, make sure .terraform file, the folder is not included into your git. Okay, so I'm going to delete this still manually, so it doesn't create any conflict in the future. Okay, delete. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the CD, my root folder, which is the Terraform, and then just say git add, git commit -m, create S3 buckets using Terraform, and then git push. Now for me it's slightly different because I have two different GitHub accounts, so this is something a different stuff, but technically git push should have go ahead and push the code, but since my things is slightly different, since I have two GitHub accounts, I just have to do git and then my git account name in here. So you guys don't have to do nothing, all you have to do git push and it will go ahead and push the code into your GitHub. Done. Okay, so again, the code is in my repo, feel free to clone it and use it, and then in the future my goal is like to have as much as service I can write this script and give it to you guys for using it. Okay, all right, thank you guys, and let me know if you have any questions, comments or anything. All right, take care.